I'm going to walk Ryan here through some progressive and regressive loading for spinal flexion and extension. Okay, when we're talking about expanding ranges of motion, we want to be using our pails and rails on a daily, weekly basis, depending how they are prescribed for you. And we're going to walk through what that looks like, how we want to think about our form, what intensities we want to be working at, and most importantly, just how we're going to do this exercise. So I'm going to have Ryan this block first and foremost to put between his legs. That block's going to be some good feedback for him as we work in segmenting his spine. It's going to give him some feedback where he's trying to not use the hips and fully use that spine. Okay, so we're going to start with Ryan in an extended position, and I'm going to go ahead and help him segment his way up into a cat, so into spinal flexion. So I'm just going to give him some feedback as we come up, and we start to max out his ability to stretch at end range of spinal flexion. So as we come into that spinal flexion, guys, what we're really looking to do here to start to let the necessary processes happen to the body where we can make those changes in ranges of motion, as I suggest to a lot of you guys through your programs, is are we spending enough time in this passive stretch? So for a lot of us, that's going to be 60 to 90 seconds where that becomes kind of toasty, but if possible, I would love to see a nice 2-minute stretch, just holding at this end range of spinal flexion before we start to do our isometric options, okay? So a couple checkpoints that we're looking at in this spinal flexion. One, I want to make sure Ryan's arms and shoulders are stacked up so we don't have too much upper track driving his shoulders up to the ears. He's going to make sure those hands just walking back a ½ an inch, and they're stacked nice and under those shoulders. And I'm also going to give him in a nice good checkpoint of making sure we're maxing out spinal flexion at the lumbar spine. So I'll give him feedback by just saying, hey Ryan, give me a little squeeze on the block, make sure we're fully tucking this under. And I'm going to want him to just spread and breathe here without any specific tension going on, just working in this end range and stretching for anywhere from 60 seconds to 2 minutes, obviously trying to be on the higher end with that. How we're going to work our isometrics here now. We're going to start by creating tension through the front line of the body. So our pails effort, Ryan is going to be pinching the palms and knees together. So Ryan's going to take a breath in through the nose. He's going to make sure he's already at that end range, and he's going to start with just a light pinch of those palms and knees together like he's pinching the turf. And we're going to start him with just a nice 5%. For a lot of us that are doing this on a daily basis, we're not going to want to move past anywhere, maybe that 30 to 50%. So he's going to continue to hold this. You're going to hold for the same amount of time that you've been prescribed. In the case of a beginner, this may just be 5 to 10 seconds. As you start to become more comfortable in this position, we can hold our pails effort for potentially anywhere from 45 to 60 seconds, if not longer. So Ryan's pinching, hands and knees together. He's maintaining that same postural curve. Now for our rails contraction, I want Ryan to start to push the hands and knees apart from each other. So he's going to spread, and he's going to try to expand that amount of curve that he has through his spine. So he's creating a push on the floor, trying to rip the turf apart. As he expands, he's continuing to tug at that waistband, really trying to find that expansive range of motion through that mid-spine, making sure there's not too much shoulder creep up to the ears, and he's going to hold that once again for the same time prescribed. For some of us, that may be 5 to 10 seconds. For some of us, hopefully we can push it to that 30 to 60 seconds range. Breathing, holding, ramping up. Once he's done with that rails, he's going to freeze and exhale, and he's going to ramp it down and stay here. Likely want to do this for minimum 2 reps at the intensity prescribed and for the time amount prescribed as well. Pails, pinching together, rails, driving apart, trying to expand that range of motion up. Okay, so one more time, breath in through the nose. He's going to start by drawing those palms and knees together. He's creating tension. He's still holding that end range. He holds, still that allotted time. Then he wants to spread and reverse, so we're pushing hands and knees apart, and we try to expand more into the places where we really need that work. That will be your spine, pails, rails. Do as programmed.